Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Last week I didn't do the box office breakdown, but there was reasons as to why I didn't do it. But here we are this week actually doing them. And on a Tuesday, hopefully it actually goes up today instead of waiting tomorrow to upload it. Although looking at the numbers, I don't think they've updated, but here we are. And I'm gonna break them down for you. Before we start, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, also like and share, and if you have anything to add, please comment down below. I'll do my best to respond whenever I can, okay? So with that being said, let's start the video. So this past weekend, the Equalizer 3 came out, and it actually started out pretty good. It came in at number 1 with $34.6 million in the box office domestically. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. I am going to be very honest. I am the type of person that even though I love film and films in general, I have never been a big fan of action movies. They've never been something that I say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch this movie, and it happens to be an action movie. And I know that a lot of people that know me, at least in real life, will say, but wait, you love superhero movies. I just feel that there's an aspect in the superhero genre that I actually enjoy, whereas there's things in action movies that they try to make it as real as possible, but in reality is like, none of this was actually happen in real life. If it were to go down the way that it does in movies, right? But anyway, that's beside the point. This movie actually opened right on par with the second installment of the trilogy. I don't think I've ever seen any of the Equalizer movies, so yeah, that's just how it is. But anyways, I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Number 2 coming in, Barbie, with another 10 million adding to its domestic run, and it's currently sitting at $609 million. We'll get to Barbie a little bit more later on in the video. That's why you see the pink lights. Nothing but great news for Barbie, to be quite honest. Blue Beetle coming in number 3. Its drop has been kind of good, if I say so. It's holding in the 40s and 30s, but the reality is that the movie didn't open that big, so it really doesn't matter how much it holds, and we'll dive a little bit deeper later on because it's not looking too good for Blue Beetle. A movie that opened up last weekend when I didn't do one of these videos was Gran Turismo, and it ranked up 6.5 million to add to its domestic office. It did drop 62% versus last weekend, which was the movie's first weekend. Not that great of a hold, but still it's at $28 million domestically. So again, it's not terrible for that movie. And apparently the budget for this movie was less than 100 million, like around 70 million. So again, not too terrible. We'll talk about that movie later on as well. Coming in at number 5, Oppenheimer, adding another $5 million to its domestic run with a total of $308 million domestically. And that has broken a lot of records for Christopher Nolan, and it's broken a lot of records when it comes to R-rated movies as well. I think it sits now at number 2 for the R-rated movies of all time. In terms of how much is made, so that's great for it. I don't know if it's gonna surpass The Joker, to be honest. It still has quite a long way to hit that $1 billion mark. We'll touch upon that a little bit later on in the video. Coming in number 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, with another $4 million added to its domestic run. It sits currently at 106 million, so again, great. I don't know if the movie's gonna break even, but I mentioned this prior to in my last breakdown video, and this movie doesn't have to do a lot of money when it comes to its box office because the stream of revenue that it's taking from its toys and its merchandise sales is just more than enough to get a second installment. Regardless of the box office for this movie, it doesn't really matter. The movie is still making money, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a second installment of it, so great for that movie. Number 7, it's Bottoms from MGM, and it's at $3 million, and it sits at $3.7 million domestically. If my memory serves me correctly, this movie is about the LGBTQ community. I don't know. I really don't see the appeal for the movie. I've seen trailers and I don't find that particularly funny. So I don't know. Maybe it's great, but for now it's at 3.7. I don't know if it's going to be a hit or not, or if it's going to have more money coming in if they keep adding theaters along the way. Not interested in the movie, not something that caught my eyes, but if you guys watch the movie and you want to give me your opinions down below, feel free to do so. Meg 2 coming in at number 8 with another $2.8 million added with a $78 million run domestically. Now this movie, we've talked about it before, it's not doing that much money here domestically, but overseas it is, especially in China. Whether or not the movie's gonna break even is a different story, because when it comes to the Chinese market, most of the studios over here only get about 25% from it. So even if it's doing really well in China, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to turn a profit for the company or break even. So it's doing money overseas, but it really is not the best area to be doing money in. Strays coming in at number 9 with another 2.5 added to its domestic run and only at $20 million. We can safely say that that movie is definitely a flop. And then number 10 to round it all off would be Talk to Me from A24, adding another 1.7 million, and its domestic run currently sits at $44 million. But it sits at $59 million worldwide. And again, I had talked about this movie. If you haven't watched that, you can watch that and I'll link it up top. But the movie only costs a mere $4 million to make. So again, it's highly profitable at this point. It's making a lot of money for the studio. And A24 continues the trend of actually making sure that they're smart about their budgets and making sure that these movies are profitable for them. Everything else around after number 10, to be honest, is just Walt Disney. The Haunted Mansion is number 12 and actually flopped. That is actually considered already a flop. Mission Impossible is not even a number 10. I feel so sorry for Tom Cruise, where he had a lot of hopes for this movie, and this movie, I don't think it's on its way to break even. It is a shame. And also, if you see right down there at number 15, you see Sound of Freedom, and it's actually beaten the total gross domestically of Mission Impossible. That is insane. It's great for that movie, bad for every other movie that's actually going against it. I'm pretty sure that movie did a dent to a lot of the movies this summer that wanted to make money and ended up just flopping completely. I'm looking at you, Dial of Destiny. Yeah, let's dive into a little bit more when it comes to the box office numbers. So the Equalizer sits at $68 million worldwide. Now, again, not very much a person that is, how do you call that, in tune with the action movies, especially when it comes to this type of genre. I've never watched any Equalizer movie. I know Denzel is an extremely formidable actor, and so much so, this can definitely say that he is still a box office draw, right? He does movies here and there sporadically, but it goes to show that even when he doesn't do a big blockbuster, he can still pull in seats in the theaters. So it's actually good for him in his career and everybody that involves him in any project. Again, never seen the movie. One interesting thing about the movie, though, is that it actually came out with an A cinema score. So this definitely means that the word of mouth is good on the movie. I haven't checked the Rotten Tomatoes score, but I think it's actually pretty positive as well. So an A cinema score, it opened this, not huge, but it's still open like any other blockbuster. It's even beaten out some of the superhero movies that have come out this year when it comes to this first weekend. I'm pretty sure the movie will continue to do good and well in the weeks to come, so great for that movie. The movie that I do want to talk about is Barbie. Barbie officially passed the Super Mario Brothers, and it's now the number 1 movie worldwide of 2023. I think that a lot of people that said that this movie was gonna flop or fall off the cliff. I'm looking at you, Ben Shapiro. Oh God, that's so interesting. Burning Barbies and everything for nothing, just to be wrong. But I felt after I saw the movie that the movie was gonna do really good, and it did. I just didn't expect it to do this great. I said a couple of weeks ago that I maybe saw it having a shot to actually overtake the Super Mario Brothers, and it did. Now, what they're trying to see is if it's gonna overtake Top Gun Maverick that was last year and its numbers, and I feel like it actually might. I feel like it actually might overtake it completely. The international box office has not let up whatsoever. For all the talk of people saying that this movie overseas was not going to do well, it's actually doing really great. It's almost at $800 million just like internationally. That's insane. Whether or not it's going to hit domestically 700 million, I don't think it will. It still needs like a good 90 million. And even though it's ranking up around like 10 to 7 million daily, some days it actually only ranks like 3 million. Never say never. I would be very surprised at it if it ends its domestic run above 700 million. But again, amazing for this movie and everybody involved. It really is a banger. People just love the movie. Say what you want to say about the movie, but that is just how things are, and you cannot deny the success of it. And this is where we're at. Greta Gerwig is now a formidable director, and hopefully this means that she'll get more movies out of it. Although she's doing the Narnia movie, so I don't know how that's going to pan out with any other project that they might want her to do. So we'll see. Blue Beetle. Ugh. It passed the century mark worldwide, but just the audience is not there. It sits at $58 million domestically and an international box office of $45 million. It really is not doing any money. $104 million is what supposedly was the budget for this movie. We know that time and time again, these studios lie about the production budget of said project. I mean, there's the whole debacle about Endgame and Infinity War, which came out years ago, and now we actually have the numbers for that. And Disney lied by quite a huge margin when it came to the production budget of both of those movies. Which, pause on that. The next video that I'm going to upload is actually talking about the state of Marvel, and that is also a topic which I'm going to bring up in that video, so stay tuned. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to upload that video on Friday, so yeah, stay tuned for that. But this movie is a flop. It's already certified. It's a flop. There's no way that this movie is going to make more money or break even. It's a shame because I really thought it was a decent movie, but unfortunately the marketing wasn't there, and I've touched upon that in my prior video. The marketing wasn't there and it ultimately failed, right? Now, a movie that actually has a lot of success is Oppenheimer. And I've said it before, and I'm pretty sure that the Barbenheimer effect really benefited this movie a lot. So much so that it's already at $150 million worldwide. Now, I had said, and I can say when I'm wrong and I can admit to it, that I didn't think that it was going to reach 800 million, that I said that probably it would end up around 750 to 800 million, but I never expected it to surpass 850 million whatsoever, let alone be on track to be at 900 million. Now, whether or not it ends at $1 billion is yet to be seen. I don't want to say that it won't, because I was wrong already when I said that it wasn't going to reach 850 million, so I don't want to gamble that again. However, it's holding pretty well. Like it's holding pretty well. It's still dropping at 30%, although it's losing its screens already. At like 329 theaters changed, like it dropped. And then compared to Barbie, which only lost like 150, it only remains at 2,543 theaters. So theaters are already pushing it out, right? So that's never a good sign when theaters are pushing it out. Not because the movie is bad, it's just because maybe it's already run its course in those theaters and they want to make way for other movies that are coming out. Which in the pipeline, I don't think there's much coming out in the next few weeks or months. There's a few movies here and there that are coming out, but not a whole lot of competition. So maybe it would actually reach that $1 billion. If it reaches that $1 billion mark, that is insane, because both movies that were part of the Barbenheimer effect will essentially be billion-dollar films. That's insane. Again, I still haven't even watched this movie. I'm at a loss for words. It's a great thing for everybody involved in Oppenheimer. It's great for Christopher Nolan, and it shows how much draw Christopher Nolan as a director has. If you had any doubt about his ability to direct and to actually sell tickets, right? Because we're not talking about an actor, we're talking about a director. When a director is the reason why a movie sells, that's a whole other level. Why? Because it cements that director knows what he's doing. He knows his audience. That's just how it is, right? He is right up there probably with the greatest directors of all time. And so much so. Now, there's a lot of speculation going around of what his next project will be. He said that he wants to direct a James Bond movie. I feel like it would be amazing if he's the one directing those movies going forward. There's other rumors and other people suggesting and theorizing that he'll probably direct a Star Wars movie. I don't know how I feel about that, but either of those franchises, I think that he would do an excellent job. And the heavens know that Star Wars will probably benefit the most out of it, because that franchise is not in good shape whatsoever. Yikes. And then to round it all off, I did want to talk about Gran Turismo, because the movie sits at $81 million worldwide. Now, if you see this little line here, it's not doing all that great when it comes to probably the projections that they had for the movie. However, I've heard nothing but great things about the movie, and it also debuted with an A cinema score, just like Equalizer and just like Barbie. So that means that it will probably have the legs to leg out enough to make sure that it makes its money back. I don't know whether or not it's going to make its money back, to be quite honest. I think the projected budget for this was like $74 million. So if you multiply that by 2 times, that would be around, $150 million. If you put a 0.5 on it, it's almost around $200 million. I don't know if it has the ability to do that, but right now it says at $81 million worldwide, with the international box office actually being higher than the domestic. It doesn't need that much more. It would probably need like around $100 million more in order to do that. But that's without the marketing budget. So it has to be around 280 million to be safe, to actually make sure that this movie does anything for, I think it's Sony Pictures, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Sony Pictures. To see if they do anything. I think that Sony, at this point, the most profitable franchise or IP that they have is Spider-Man, and that's why they're not letting it go whatsoever. And I think that is for the better. I think that if Spider-Man gets crawled up into Disney, it will just... But everything else that they pulled out has been subpar. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.